Hello, my name is Choma and this is room 104. On today's episode, we are going to be discussing a very interesting topic. Of course, you already know that this is a show that talks about women and girls and issues that affect them. So, I obviously have people around that will be talking with me on this episode and I will let them introduce themselves. I'll be starting from my right.
My name is Adigo Elizabeth Abimbola.
My name is Samantha Kobe.
Hi, my name is Dofia Fielkon.
Okay, you're all welcome to the show. So, on today's topic, we are going to be talking about issues that affect women, obviously, but this particular issue is usually brushed under the carpet, and that is why we want to talk about it today and trash it and know the reasons why things like this happen. And this topic is sexual harassment. First of all, we're going to start by talking about by defining sexual harassment. We're going to talk about the meaning of sexual harassment before we go into the topic deeply. So, from what I researched, sexual harassment is an unwelcome or inappropriate sexual behavior, comment, or action that makes a person feel uncomfortable, intimidated, or violated. It can occur in various settings, including workspaces, schools, public spaces, and online, and often involves abuse or power of authority. So, these are the things that happen, and it keeps happening. This is not the first, it is not the last. It will not even be the last time it happens. So, but most times when it happens, people don't talk about it. We hear cases where something happened to this person, and then the person talks about it, and the person is being judged for that. So, we're going to talk about instances of sexual harassment. I think I'm going to start with one that I heard recently. This is a 5-year-old boy that went to school, and actually his mom didn't know because he was speaking with his cousin. That was how this came out, because when it happened, he didn't talk to his mom, he didn't tell anybody. It was just a conversation that he was having with his cousin that it came up, and then thankfully she was able to go to the mom and tell her that, see what he told me. And this is a 5-year-old boy. What happened? So in school, he said his friend took him to their toilet, their restroom, and asked him to pull down his trousers. So he did it. It's his friends now. So he did it actually. And when he did it, he asked him why. He told him to just start dancing around and shaking himself. So when he finished that, he said he felt bad. But when he got home, he couldn't tell his mom about it because he felt bad, and at that age, he was already scared of telling his mom something like that. Exactly. So I was actually baffled on hearing that. And in that same situation, in that same scenario, I still heard another story about a girl that they are twins, right? The mom didn't know because she's a banker, so she goes to school and comes back. So she goes to work rather, drops the children at school and comes back. So when she went one weekend, she was bathing her child, then she was feeling pain in her private part. So she noticed it, asked her what was going on. She refused to talk. So her twin sister was the one that eventually said, how old were they? They were 7. From what I heard, they were 7. So she told her that there is this particular girl where she usually drops them after school, because after school she's not back now, she's a banker, so you know what time bankers end their exactly. So after that she would drop them and rush back to work. So she said that there is a particular person, a lady actually, that touches them in their private part, and this has been going on for a very long time, and she didn't know. It got to the extent that her private part was now paining her, and nobody knew about it. If not because maybe she paid keen attention to when she was bathing her, maybe she would not have known. And this is something that happens, and people grow up with it, and then maybe they begin to do it to other people because of that is what they grew up with. So I don't know, what do you guys think about this particular situation? And maybe if you have other situations that you've heard of or instances that you've probably come across, maybe you could share to us.
Okay, I think from the examples you've given, I have something to talk about.
Okay.
Those examples. A situation whereby a child has an experience outside of home and then comes back home and is unable to tell the parents. Like he said, he was scared to tell the mom or the dad. Maybe because he or she doesn't have this close relationship with the parents, or the parents is always strict, always beating him or her on slightest provocation. You know, the relationship with mom and kids are not so cordial enough whereby a child can just open up and tell you anything. You get? So I think in that vein, parents should be able to bring their children close enough to them that their children can easily tell them whatever experiences they've had. Because if he had that very close relationship with the mom or dad, he would, mommy, this is what happened in school. I was just playfully. He may not actually know what that experience had meant to him, but the mom would have a more better knowledge on what happened and would be able to advise him, you know. And for the girls, you know, always going there and the lady does the same thing. If you as parents should be able to educate your children. Okay, if you have this person touching you, whether a man or a woman, touching you in a way you're not comfortable with, okay, talk to me. I'm ready to listen to you. Their parents, they're like, okay, I had my cousin say something like, oh, I wasn't able to tell mommy about it because she's always shouting at me. You know that kind of situation, you're always shouting at your child, he or she will be so scared to tell you anything because he would feel you shout at him without even hearing the end of the story. So if it happened the first time and the girl had gone back home to tell the mommy, oh mommy, this is what happened though, this auntie was very nice, even if she said in a positive light, oh, this auntie was so nice to us, she maybe bathed us, she did this, she would have opened up and told the mother, and the mother would have known everything about it and maybe taken concerns and taken action about it. So I think parents should be able to be free with their kids to the point of their kids being able to talk to them about anything that happens. So that's it.
Okay. So what do you have something to say?
Well, I'm going to say a little bit about what Afia has just said. Not every parent shouts at their daughter, and lately, parents have grown their children up in ways that you can talk to them. They'll say, okay, if anything like this is going on in school, let me know. If anything like this is going on in sports, let me know. But still, children are not opening up. Why? Because it's not like you're not giving the avenue for them to talk, but there are certain conversations that you make uncomfortable, not necessarily even shouting, maybe just putting the conversation away, or like, you understand? It may not be you shouting and saying, oh, don't talk, don't say that, oh, I'll beat you, oh, you understand? But you're not allowing your children be open enough to properly express themselves. Why? Because certain things are not meant to be said, or certain things shouldn't be repeated. You understand? But if you make that avenue available for your children to say whatever it is to you, there's a cousin of mine. The way she brought her children up is every single bit of their day is being spoken about. Like, down to, oh, somebody gave me biscuit and I ate it, but one fell down. Is that minute? So if you train your children up in a way that every single bit of their day they are able to come and share, that create that time. I know that yes, the world is fast moving and that time is not necessarily available, but in your little ways you can make that possible for your children to be able to talk to you and tell you certain things like that. So yeah, that's all I have to say.
Pretty much, parents don't give room to discuss all those uncomfortable conversations, to have those uncomfortable conversations with their children. And I feel that sometimes, actually, even if they give that room, people the children associate themselves with too can tell them or change. You know, they are kids, they are still growing up, and things that they hear affect them, things that they see, and more so their peers. When they are in a certain, they are sitting down, they are having a conversation, they'll be like, I used to tell my mom this thing, or better don't tell your mom this kind of thing. That way it just goes to the back of their head, it stays somewhere, and they just grow with it. It's not that the parents are not making room or giving time for those kind of conversations, but because of the people they associate. That is why personally, I think that parents should know the people their children associate themselves with. Bimbo.
It's not what I want to say, it's not actually kids. There was a time, as I was born and brought up in Jos,
Okay.
there was a time if I'm going to church, all those malam, they will just touch your breast. When you started, they will just touch your breast. And I've never go home to tell my parents that this is what they are doing. All the girls, if you are passing, they will just talk. So if I tell my parents, what will they do? Where will they get them? They always do it every day. If you are going to church in the evening, and if you are coming back in the night. So if you are coming, we used to do it like this. We cover ourselves, and that time we are still growing breast. So it's not only child, you understand. It's maybe when you're growing from 16, 15, that
I think
do
it's
happen.
women in total, like girl child.
Yes, and those guys, that is what they do. So if we see, so in that scenario, what will you do?
Adding to what Bimbo has said, most times when we talk about sexual harassment, it's mostly kids, but I feel like teenagers and adults even face it more than kids do face it, because now parents are kind of aware of the children's situation, so they are more not they can't totally eradicate it, but they are more protective. Teenage girls now, they have grown to a point where there are certain things they keep to themselves on a normal that are not even negative or like in that light. So talk more of the negative one when it happens to you. And most times these things that are happening are either uncles, friends of elder brothers, mother's friends sometimes. So when you have grown people that have become family friends, they are close to you, they come home, you see them all the time. Those times most people don't even know what sexual harassment is. For them to even know that, okay, they can come and say, oh, this happened to me. You understand? They don't see it in a negative light because, oh, I know this person, he comes around, so he's family. You understand?
Talking about these adults, I have a friend that, recently, because should I use the word loaded, right? So she has hips and all that. So she was walking, and then a guy just crossed and tapped her. So she turned and she was really pissed off. That was on the road, I think the road bus or something. She was crossing, yes. And
to me many times that they will tap. Yes, they will tap you.
So he tapped her and she turned and tried to confront the guy. He was like, that is it them that asked her to have something as big as that. So it was really embarrassing. Another scenario, she was inside the bus seated and a guy was just, leaning towards her just to make sure that he touches her. So, that brings us to another aspect of this thing that we want to talk about. Sometimes people don't voice out, just like she said. She mentioned something about what would she tell her parents, how would she tell them, what would they do. Now people don't voice out because of maybe when you talk they will judge you. It's just like the guy telling her that is he the one that told her to have something as big as that, you get. So she felt really embarrassed and left. And then maybe when she goes to tell somebody else, now they'll start looking, okay, they'll not ask her, how did you dress, what were you wearing, things like that. So I want to know exactly how this thing can be curbed.
You cannot completely eradicate it by just gathering men and sitting and talking about it. This conversation should be had in their different peer and pressure groups, so that it can help. Okay, those who don't behave like that, they can say, oh, it's not good to do this, so the women feel certain type of way. But if we don't have these conversations, how will they know? Because some of them don't even know that it's wrong or it's right because of the background and upbringing.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay. Funny enough, that these things don't just happen in the streets only. Even in a more organized space like schools, church, offices, people do it. Nowadays, you just see people just hugging the opposite sex so tight, and they feel so comfortable about it. But then it's not okay to even look at it. It's not okay. So they feel to understand that from a hug, it can go to tapping your back and all of that. It progresses. So it's not that they don't know that these actions are wrong, but they just feel that, oh, it's a lifestyle, they can just do it. And a boss would take some actions with a minor in the office and feel that, oh, since because he's the boss, he can literally do it. In school, you see teenagers and people in the university taking some actions in public and people are watching it, not knowing that others are equally seeing, and the things you see often, you tend to dive into those actions without thinking or knowing that those are the same actions you once took to be wrong. You get, before now, there are some ladies that weren't always so comfortable with hugging the opposite sex so tight, but now they feel very comfortable with it because they see most of the people around them doing it. You get, so it's not like people don't know that these actions are wrong, but they still do it, probably for fun or maybe because of their status. So
Yeah, speaking about status, that in our definition, we talked about abuse of power or authority. In, for example, the office spaces, you will see an employee with the employer. Maybe she comes or he comes into the office to maybe submit a file or something. I'm just giving an instance, you understand? And then maybe he or she, because it can be any gender, touches or taps any part of their body that they are not supposed to. And then the person feels offended, but he can't or she can't do anything about it. Why? Because he feels like this is my superior. If I do anything now, they'll sack me, that kind of thing. So we really need to, encourage people to voice out, because in this kind of situation now, they will keep taking it in. They will keep keeping quiet. They wouldn't want to say anything because they don't want to lose their jobs, or they don't want to end up in the streets, or maybe if it is in a home setting, maybe they don't want to, if the person is the owner of the house, they don't want to sleep on the streets, maybe because you don't have somewhere else to go to. So you have to just keep taking those things in, keeping quiet, and that's how you grow with it. It kind of becomes a part of you. So we need like a solution to this, to be able to have people voice out when things like this happen, and also have things like this taken care of so that it doesn't keep repeating itself.
sorry, before you go to talking about solutions, you reminded me of some time ago when I went to visit a friend of mine in her office space. So I walked in there, I sat there for a while, and then her friend came in. She hasn't seen her for a long time. She was like, two ladies, or she was like, I've not seen you for a long time. You're so big. Like, she tapped her on the breast openly. I was like, eh? So if this is woman to woman, forgetting that men are equally watching it, so tomorrow she'll come to work, and because a man saw her action, I was like, if this lady could accept such action, it means I can literally do it as well. You get, so
Yeah.
today he may just tap her on the shoulder, tomorrow, the next day, so we equally have to educate the public on some actions not to do.
Yeah.
You get, like touching people on unnecessary places where they are not you can literally make, so you don't know if the person is comfortable you touching he or her on such places. So it's not because you touch A on the shoulder and she's okay with it means you can touch B. So if we can educate the public on these actions not to be taken, I guess there would be some change when it comes to sexual harassment.
Yes.
Afia just brought up another aspect of sexual harassment in the workplace, because most times the boss and secretary or cleaner is most common. Sometimes between colleagues, between supervisors and people he has been assigned to, it happens all the time, where you just say something, Samantha, this your waist is small, this your, you understand,
Words
some
of
certain
mouth, right?
certain verbal attention being brought to your body in the workplaces. You understand?
Yeah.
So it happens a lot, and how do we curb it now is the next topic of conversation. Like you said,
Yeah.
solutions, what to do, information to the public, releasing information, how they can make it better, parents being open to their children, respecting each other's privacy, personal space and all of that. But then again, we as human beings need to understand that as you're growing, certain habits should be changing with you. You are learning, you're unlearning, you're relearning certain things. As an individual, if you're in society and things are happening to you every day and you're not changing, you're not seeing the need to better develop yourself to understand that, okay, certain things are be keen about certain behaviors. When you touch them, how do they react? Pay attention to those things. That's the difference between you and an animal.
Yeah.
The animals just do things, they don't care. But you as a human, you're supposed to have those keen sensitivity on how it affects other people around you. We live for the society, so if it doesn't make them feel comfortable, then you shouldn't do it. Respect each other, respect privacy, respect personal space, and all of that. I think it helps.
Like, sorry, like she just said, a situation, you see a situation whereby a man will just touch you, and then you reacting to it, like she said, pay attention to their reactions, and you're like, please don't do that again, don't touch me like that. You see a man, a full-grown man, telling you, why are you behaving like a baby?
Yeah.
You hear that a lot, why are you behaving like, forgetting that these actions are wrong. Like, why are you behaving? And with that, you now want to guilt trip the lady as to she'll now start thinking maybe she's not matured enough.
She's naive.
At that instance, she'll now want to bring down her guards. So the next time you touch her that way, she'll want to be calm about it. You get? So from there, more sexual reactions are coming in. And she said something about in an office space, words of mouth. The boss will tell this other person, this your waist, they be like one kind. You get? Those things bring attention to that person, unnecessary attention. Yeah, we know she has a big, but you don't have to say about it. You don't have to talk about it because it pushes unnecessary attentions to it. So you're the boss saying it. The next day she comes, you even see her fellow colleagues say, this is your thing again. You get? So it pushes unnecessary attention that are not even supposed to be said about. There are things you see, but you don't have to talk about it. You get? So.
Bimbo, do you have something else you want to add?
No, you have said it all.
Okay.
Just anybody that if it happens to you or somebody speak to you in a way you don't like, immediately say, I don't like you, don't touch me in this place. So that's it. Just let's speak out. That's it. Just it.
Okay, so pretty much
You said something about, sorry for cutting you. You said something about speaking out and then stigmatization. How do you explain someone saying, I was sexually assaulted, I was sexually harassed by this, and the next thing for you to do is dissociate from that person or make it look like the person has been diagnosed with some kind of illness?
Yes.
Like how is that the next course of action for you to take? Instead of words of encouragement and how you can provide a better, safe environment for this person to live in. Please, let's talk about that because I don't know. I know you guys understand what I'm saying.
Yes, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, because such actions sometimes make people to pull into their shell. They have issues and they don't want to talk about it. During the campaign yesterday, no excuse to abuse, no excuse to sexual harassment, no excuse to abuse for women. You get? When you see something, you say something. You experience something, you say something. Because these are the only way we can curb these manners. Now you stigmatizing somebody that is a victim doesn't help it because it will make the person shy away from saying any more thing. He or she may even see the fellow girl in that situation and wouldn't want to say it because of the world we live in now. I had an experience, I came to share it to you, and then the next day you tend to disassociate with me. No, that's not how to do it. So I really think the first step should be education. There are some things that people don't know are wrong, or people still know are wrong, but they still act as though it's the normal life of the now. There are some things that are not supposed to be said, yet they still say it. So I think people still live with the life of, everybody are doing it, so it's not wrong. People tag it that way. Since everybody do it, so it's not wrong. It's wrong. It's wrong. So let's try to justify this. Let's try to state what is right, let it be right. What is wrong, let it be wrong. So if you say this thing is not right, you do away from it.
Okay. This is wonderful. I have learned something actually. But the truth is, from everything that we've talked about, the main point here is being able to give people the safe environment for them to voice out when things like this happen. And secondly, being able to educate people on how to relate with others. you know what's okay. When you do this thing, you notice this person's body language and you know that this person doesn't like it, you don't repeat it. And also for people in power or authority, you don't abuse your power because you feel that nothing can be done about it. Something can actually be done about it if people decide to take it up. And now people are not taking it up because they are scared of what could happen eventually. So our takeout from this is both from parents, office spaces, generally, is that we need to educate people on how to behave towards their fellow humans in order to avoid harassment. And also when stubborn people, because obviously there's no amount of education you want to give that some people will still go against these things. So when it happens, you try to voice out. Now, not everybody will have the courage to actually come out. Somebody might want to talk, but they will not, feel the courage to come out and speak openly. Now, you don't keep quiet. If you don't want to come out openly and speak, you can put it into writing. Let people know what is going on. You understand? So I believe that we've learned a lot and we've been able to talk about various aspects of this this sexual harassment. So before we call it a wrap, Afia.
Okay, sorry, I would like to say something. The thing is, I feel the social media and the internet has really changed the whole world a whole lot. Now, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think all of us here has come across this reel that says, okay, say a man dying, that's the hospital, but yet everybody are with their phone taking pictures instead of you to take action. Okay, so that goes sent to the Equatorial Guinea man that had affairs with a lot of women, most of them from his office space, and a lot of people were talking about it in social media and internet. Everybody were posting it and nobody said anything against it. So what I realized from that was that people were just out to have this topic on their page just to gain contacts, to gain followers, to gain comments, and to gain like. But nobody spoke against it. And what happened? Nothing happened about that. Nothing.
Yeah, so speaking about the Equatorial Guinea man you just spoke about, I would say maybe nothing was done because sometimes consent was brought into the story. We heard that it was a consensual video. They knew about the video and all of that. But what were situations where consent wasn't given? Like there was this story that was said on a reality radio station, Brekete Family. I don't know if you guys know anything about it. The woman came to talk about a man who was a politician actually, who was sexually harassing her, sexually abusing even her. It started from sexual harassment anyway to sexual abuse over the years. It was for like 13 years. It kept on happening, and he was taking videos, sending her to his fellow colleagues to sleep with them so that he can have video evidence against them if in case he needed to come up. So in that situation now, I feel like what we should do is men should stop hanging these sexual advances over the heads of women, and women should stop accepting such, approaching men, or even giving them the slightest idea that something like that is possible, is possible to happen between them. Yes, that in that way, I feel like a lot of things will be curbed. Yeah.
So concluding this episode, because we've said a lot and we've heard a lot from this, and I believe that we've learned a lot too. Sexual harassment is a serious violation of personal rights and dignity. And in situations like this, please speak up. You don't have to keep quiet. Yes, I understand that there are situations where you will not be courageous enough to, voice out some things because of the way people would react. But then it is best that you say it out and, solutions come. Then you keep quiet and you keep growing with that, and it keeps eating deep into you. It is better you speak out. Say something so that you will get help. I believe that we've learned, personally I have learned a lot. So thank you very much for joining us in today's episode. We'll catch you in our next episode. Bye-bye.
Bye.